on to the issue of fake news. And The Guardian published an article yesterday entitled "Far-Right Populists Much More Likely Than the Left to Spread Fake News Study." So this is an uncritical puff piece for this paper, published in Sage Journals, entitled "When Do Parties Lie? Misinformation and Radical Right Populism Across 26 Countries." Peter Thornburg of the University of Amsterdam, one of the authors, said that radical right populists are using misinformation as a tool to destabilize democracies and gain political advantage. And he went on to say that the findings from the paper underscore the urgent need for policymakers, researchers, and the public to understand and address the intertwined dynamics of misinformation, radical right populism. They say they've examined which parties are more likely to spread information by drawing on a comprehensive database of 32 million tweets from parliamentarians in 26 countries, and that spans 6 years from 2017 to 2022 and several election periods. The 26 countries included 17 EU member states. Austria, France, Germany, Netherlands, and Sweden were amongst those, as well as the United Kingdom, the United States, and Australia. But basically, at the bottom line here is they had hoovered up millions, as I say, of tweets. They then compared those tweets, that data, with what they described as international political science databases, holding detailed information about political parties and cabinets, for example, their position on the left-right spectrum and their degree of populism. But here's the kicker. To identify cases of misinformation, we examine the URLs that the politicians share and then use the media bias fact check database and the Wikipedia fake news list to identify politicians sharing misinformation in tweets. So that is totally reliable, isn't it? So that they go on to say, to ensure the robustness of our methods, the factuality measure was manually validated to ensure that the articles shared in fact contained misinformation. And they say that we should look at the supplementary information file that goes with this paper. They say that we selected a stratified random sample of 50 articles from each of the 5 predefined factuality levels, totaling 250 articles. These were manually analyzed. The results are reported in supplementals tables S6 and S7. So when you go to the tables, you find that in fact there's no such proper validation. It was a manual validation, as they said, but that might be summarized as the sources we chose are accurate because we say they're accurate, and that's basically it. But it gets even better. They admit that in many cases, the sources that they put in a low factuality group do report accurate news. But for example, let's take an example. They say about RT that, quotes, although each individual article may be factually correct in its reporting on individual battles, the overall story is thus a false narrative of highly successful special military operation. This underscores the limitations of assessing factuality solely based on the accuracy of individual articles, offering further support for the validity of relying on media outlet level analyses. Right? In other words, if you report accurate stories, we're going to say that you're inaccurate anyway because you don't report the things we say you should report. So this, I think, is a work of art, not a work of science. The Guardian is a disgrace for not holding the authors to account, but perhaps there are no surprises there. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Well, it's almost as though this has been handed to some climate scientists with a bit of time on their hands. There's amazing parallels between what's extrapolated and what's actually there. Yeah, extraordinary.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let's move on to this image because Elon Musk was in the White House yesterday, and well, I don't know what your thoughts were on the whole thing.
It's frightfully awkward, I would say. I mean, I'm not quite sure why he is sort of wheeled in. It's hard to see whether he makes Trump look better or worse, and that's sort of saying something. The whole thing was just a very bizarre episode, and he does have a tendency to ramble, much like the man sitting in the chair, I suppose. So
But he was asked about the issue of accountability, and he didn't really have an answer, did he?
No, he didn't. No, actually, that was it. He was asked two questions about whether or not he would be, in effect, declaring interest. Not that he necessarily needs to declare them, because I think they're quite well known. But the suggestion that his operations on behalf of the office of the President of the United States wouldn't have any overlap with his many, many business interests is totally absurd. And of course, he's probably the least suitable candidate for conducting reform in any sort of transparent sense, which I suppose for this administration might make him perfect.
And for some reason, he decided to bring his son, who was utterly bored and behaving appropriately, I thought.
Yeah, well, I think the son sort of held it together.
Yeah. But anyway, sorry, Stephanie, let's just put that back up a second, because I just wanted to point one thing out here, because let's just label that as saying enough said. There's nothing else really required. The hand gesture is clear. We've seen it from so many others. I would like to get a definitive response from some of these people, from Musk or from Keir Starmer, all the other people that use this particular hand gesture, to explain what it is, because they all use it. Why?
I don't know. I mean, unless it's a control mechanism from preventing you from doing a Hitler salute. I'm not quite sure.
Maybe it is. Okay. But anyway, we do have a final video.
We do. Now, for many, many months, we've been talking about all the various challenges faced by farmers, and indeed the activities that the government wants to stop farmers from doing and us enjoying. And whilst I wouldn't necessarily be advocating the number of pharmaceutical products that are referred to in this video, I thought we'd end on a slightly lighter note with what's happening in the farming community at this time of year.
We've got some glucose, Actram, Betamox and Metacam, long gloves, vet lube, iodine and stomach tube, blue spray, lots of hay and calcium to save the day. All ready for the day when the sheep have got to push, 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 push. Got a shepherd's crook and dog on pipe, a flask of coffee sees me through the night, a pocket of rings and some Baylor band. I'll be there to lend a hand.
Are you expecting this year?
Yeah, not as many as that, but absolutely, yes. So there we go. That's diversification as he forges his new path in the music industry. Good man.
Indeed. Well, thank you, Charles. Thank you to Vanessa and Sandy for joining us today. We got to end there for now. We will be back in a few minutes if you're a UK Column member for some UK Column News Extra. Join us for that if you can. Otherwise, enjoy the interview tomorrow at 1 p.m. and we'll see you at 1 p.m. as usual on Friday. See you then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.